Trying to figure out the path to assisted living in Georgia, well, it can feel like a maze, right? In this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that complexity and give you a really clear step-by-step guide for 2025. This is often the first and, honestly, sometimes the hardest question to even ask. It's a conversation that's usually packed with emotion, which is why having clear, solid information is probably the best way to move forward. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We've got 5 clear sections to make this as simple as possible. We'll kick things off by figuring out if assisted living is even the right fit. Then we'll dive into the qualifications, talk about the costs, cover the required health check, and wrap it all up with a simple action plan you can use. Okay, so first things first, before we even get into all the checklists and the paperwork, let's just make sure we're all on the same page about what assisted living is actually for. What's it designed to do? Now, the really key thing here, the magic in this definition, is that balance it strikes. See, the goal isn't just to provide care, it's to provide just the right amount of support while letting folks hold on to as much independence and autonomy as they possibly can. And getting this distinction right is absolutely crucial. Assisted living is perfect for someone who needs a helping hand regularly, but doesn't need that constant round-the-clock medical supervision. If the need is for 24-hour skilled nursing or, say, advanced memory care, then you're probably looking at a different type of facility. Okay, so now that we get the goal of assisted living, how do facilities in Georgia actually decide who gets in? Well, they look at 6 key areas. Before we go any further, you've got to know this acronym, ADLs. It stands for Activities of Daily Living. You're going to hear it a lot. This list of 6 basic tasks, it's become the industry standard, not just in Georgia, but everywhere, because it gives a really simple, objective way to measure how well a person can live on their own. All right, so here are the 6 pillars of qualification. Facilities are going to look at a person's age, their specific medical needs, especially how they handled those ADLs we just saw, their cognitive health, mobility, their financial picture, and then finally, a formal assessment. Now, while most residents are usually 60 or older, it's really important to remember that age is more of a guideline than a strict rule. The real qualifying factor is the actual demonstrated need for help, which can sometimes apply to younger adults who have specific health conditions. Now for the big one. Let's talk about the cost. This can feel like the biggest hurdle of all, so let's break down the main ways that folks in Georgia can cover it. As you can see, there are really 3 main avenues for getting some financial help. For those with limited income, Georgia has Medicaid programs. You'll see names like CCSP and SOURCE. There are also specific benefits for our veterans. And then, of course, there's private long-term care insurance. And here's the key takeaway. Especially if you're dealing with long-term care insurance, remember this 2 of 6 rule. Needing help with at least 2 of those 6 ADLs we talked about, that's usually the trigger that unlocks your policy's benefits. It's a really critical number to be aware of. Okay, so once you figured out that assisted living is the right move and you've got a financial plan in place, there's one last mandatory step. It's required by the state of Georgia before anyone can be admitted. This is so important to get. This assessment, it's not just some facility's internal policy, it's actually state law. Think of it as a consumer protection measure. It's there to make sure that the facility can truly, genuinely meet the specific needs of the person moving in. And this assessment is incredibly thorough. It goes way beyond a simple checkup. It's designed to create a complete, whole picture of a person's needs. Everything from their ability to do those ADLs, to their cognitive state, and what medications they need help with. This basically becomes the blueprint for their personalized care plan. Phew! We've covered a ton of ground. So what do you do with all this information? Let's turn it all into a simple, straightforward action plan. It really just boils down to these 3 steps. First, have that open, honest conversation about needs and wishes. Second, do a really thorough review of all the financial resources available. And third, start reaching out to facilities to get that official assessment process started. Following these steps just brings some structure to what can feel like a really overwhelming journey. At the end of the day, this whole process, with all its paperwork and assessments, it all starts with a simple human conversation. And we really hope this explainer has given you the clarity and maybe the confidence you need to go and start that conversation.